When the First World War ended on November 11, 1918, millions of soldiers slowly emerged from the trenches, exhausted and broken. Europe lay in ruins, cities destroyed, lands scarred, economies shattered, and families grieving. The world had experienced horror on a scale never seen before, and leaders promised it would never happen again. But, as history would show, their efforts would create the very conditions that sparked an even deadlier conflict. The road to World War II did not begin with a single event. It began with a chain of decisions, mistakes, and global failures that unfolded over two dramatic decades. The first step toward the Second Global Conflict came in 1919, inside the gilded halls of the Palace of Versailles. Here, world leaders gathered to shape the future. France demanded harsh punishment for Germany. Britain sought to maintain balance, and the United States hoped for a peaceful, fair settlement. In the end, France's view dominated. Germany was declared solely responsible for World War I and forced to pay enormous reparations. Its military was reduced to almost nothing, its navy dismantled, its air force banned, and its territory stripped away. These measures were meant to protect Europe, but instead they humiliated Germany and created deep bitterness. German citizens saw the treaty as an insult to their nation's honor, a wound that would never heal. As the 1920s unfolded, Germany struggled under the weight of reparations. The economy collapsed. Inflation became so severe that people carried wheelbarrows full of money just to buy bread. Parents burned banknotes as firewood because it was cheaper than buying coal. In this chaos, political extremists gained support. Many Germans believed their government had betrayed them by signing the Treaty of Versailles. It was in this atmosphere of anger and desperation that a former soldier named Adolf Hitler began to rise. But Germany was not the only nation dealing with instability. Across Europe, ancient monarchies had collapsed, and new democracies were fragile. Russia had already fallen to revolution, creating the Soviet Union. Italy, feeling ignored by the victors of World War I, turned toward a new ideology, fascism. Benito Mussolini promised strength, glory, and national pride, inspiring similar movements across Europe. The world was changing, and not for the better. By 1929, the Great Depression delivered the next global shockwave. What started with a stock market crash in the United States quickly spread worldwide. Banks closed, trade collapsed, and millions lost their jobs. Desperation set in. Extreme politics began to look appealing. Germany, already suffering, was hit even harder. Families starved, businesses failed, and hope disappeared. Into this darkness stepped Hitler, promising jobs, stability, and national pride. He blamed Germany's problems on the Treaty of Versailles, on political opponents, and on minority communities. Using powerful propaganda, he portrayed himself as the savior who would restore Germany's greatness. By 1933, Hitler became chancellor. Within months, he destroyed democracy, banned opposition parties, censored the press, and created a dictatorship. The Nazi regime quickly rebuilt Germany's military secretly at first, openly later. Factories produced tanks, airplanes, and weapons. Young Germans were trained in military discipline. Hitler's message was simple. Germany had been humiliated, but now it would rise again. Meanwhile, the League of Nations formed to prevent future wars proved to be completely ineffective. It had no army and no real authority. When Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931, the League condemned the act but did nothing. When Italy attacked Ethiopia in 1935, the League again failed to stop it. These failures sent a clear signal to aggressive nations. They could expand their empires without consequences. Hitler studied these events closely. In 1936, he marched troops into the Rhineland region. Germany was forbidden to militarize. France and Britain protested but offered no real resistance. Their policy of appeasement, meant to avoid conflict, only encouraged Hitler to push further. By 1938, Hitler targeted Austria. His propaganda claimed Austrians wanted to join Germany. When German troops crossed the border, many Austrians cheered. though many others feared what was coming. The Anschluss, the union of Germany and Austria, was complete, and Europe did nothing to stop it. Next came Czechoslovakia. Hitler demanded the Sudetenland, claiming it was home to ethnic Germans. European leaders met with Hitler in Munich, hoping to avoid war. They agreed to give him the territory in exchange for a promise of peace, but this was a fatal mistake. Within months, Hitler broke his promise and seized all of Czechoslovakia, proving that appeasement was an illusion. By early 1939, Hitler's ambitions were clear. He rebuilt Germany into a military superpower and aligned with Italy and Japan to form the Axis powers. His next target was Poland, but this time, Britain and France drew a line. If Germany attacked Poland, they would declare war. Hitler ignored the warning. On September 1, 1939, German forces launched a full-scale invasion using blitzkrieg tactics, fast, deadly, coordinated attacks. Poland was overwhelmed. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war. The world was once again plunged into darkness. But the truth is that World War II did not begin in 1939. Its origins lie in the broken peace of 1918, in the harshness of the Treaty of Versailles, in the failures of global diplomacy, in economic suffering, and in the rise of extremist leaders. It was the result of 2 decades of anger, fear, and international miscalculations. World War II was a storm that the world saw coming but failed to stop.